This podcast is recorded live during my weekly Zoom virtual healing circles. Be sure to stick around to the end of the episode to learn more about how you can join me for these live virtual events. Welcome to my virtual healing circle with me, Jen Fable of LiveLifeUnbroken.com. So today I'm going to talk to you about 4 realms and 3 U's. Insert my bad joke here. So what does that mean, and why do you want to know it? Why do you need to know all aspects of you if you've gotten along just fine up until now doing what you're doing? So this is important because true healing, any kind of healing journey, any kind of growth, any kind of change, it has to take place on all 4 realms. We're going to get into that. Otherwise, if it's not in alignment with all parts of you, you're going to find yourself playing a tug of war. You're going to think that change is really hard. Oftentimes we start with change in the physical world. I'm going to change my exercise habits. I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to eat my vegetables. So we do something on the physical realm. And we do that for a while and we realize that it's slow and it's sluggish and we fall off the wagon a lot of times and it's a lot of times no fun. Or what we try to do is we try to go up to the energetic world, spiritual stuff. We do yoga, we do meditation, but then we find that we can't seem to bring that feeling of zen and peace off the yoga mat, out of the meditation room, into our daily life. And that's because we're missing a huge part of the equation, and that's the other 2 realms. And like I said, that's what I want to talk about tonight. Ignoring any aspect of you will result in an imbalance in your life. If you pay attention to your physical self and your energetic self, but you forget about your mental or emotional self, you're probably going to end up feeling anxious and tired all the time. And so it's important to make sure you're working with all parts of you. Your thoughts create your reality. It's not the other way around. And so I'm also going to talk to you about thought form energies. What are they, and how can we get rid of ones that we've created accidentally that are creating icky vibes in our life? I'm also going to teach you a form of psychic self-defense. If you've ever felt like someone's giving you the oogity boogity vibes and you don't know how to get rid of it, I'm going to teach you a technique on that. So we're going to work on the mental and emotional realms because that's the gap that most of us skip, because let's face it, our thoughts and our feelings are icky 90% of the time and they're uncomfortable, and that's why I want you to tune into your Medicaid and use that instead. Okay? So thought plus emotion equals belief. Your beliefs are what run the show. Your beliefs are what filter information to you. And that happens to be the topic for next week's healing circle. I'm going to go over the science of intention and how that fits into your beliefs. For now, your thought gets energized by an emotion, and that solidifies and creates a belief. We have great beliefs, like I believe that I am a powerful creatrix in my life, and we have limiting beliefs, like I believe that I am worthless. Cancel, cancel, cancel. So energy work of any kind, whether you call it growth, change work, manifestation, must be done in conjunction with work on your mental and emotional self. Otherwise, you're going to blow up your life. And that's what I want to talk about today, because so many of us get this wrong. I got it wrong so often, 2x4 to the face. So I'm going to remind you of this every single time. I've already gone over it really quickly. When it comes to any kind of energy work, all you really have to pay attention to is your intention, imagination, and intuition. Your intention is what creates these thought form energies, which is said we're going to get into. Your imagination fuels it. Your imagination can be used for good or for not good. Use the force for good, Luke. Use your imagination to imagine all the wild and endless possibilities in your life. If you're not doing that on a regular basis, then your imagination's running you. So we want to make sure that you're using your imagination and building that muscle and your intuition. So here are the 4 realms and the 3 U's. If you've been to my classes, you probably are familiar with the 3 U's, and I'm not going to connect them for you. So you have your spiritual self, you have your mental self, you have your emotional self, and you have your physical self. So your physical self is obviously your bones and tissues and neurons and cells and all the stuff that makes you you. You have your emotional self. That is where it's the part of you that feels. It's the part of you that connects. And this is associated with our unconscious mind. So, in psychology, we know that we have two kinds of minds. We have our conscious mind, which is everything you're aware of at any given moment. So, right now, you're probably aware of the sound of my voice. You're likely aware of the colors in my fabulous stick person drawing, which those of you who've been in my live class, that's the most perfect drawing I'll ever do because it's all digital. See, I'm a whiz with digital, but give me a marker and it's like lopsided. Although I've gotten better. Your conscious mind has to have everything make sense. It needs things in order. It loves to ask the question why. It's your mental realm. It's your thinky part. And you'll know that this part of you comes really much a lot in handy when you're doing taxes or you have to calculate how much flour to put in a bread recipe. And for the rest of your life, your thinky place often gets in the way because it's limited. While the colors here show not to scale, because I'm not even going to go into the math of that, but your mental part really is only working with a little bit of information. It's missing most of the information that comes into us. And so when we use our conscious mind, our mental realm to get through things, we get stuck. And so what we try to do is we try to escape this part. We'll do anything in our power to get out of our head. And so we escape up into our spiritual self and we hide up out there, but then we don't know how to bring that energy down. And so we spend a lot of our time just spinning. Your emotional self is associated with your unconscious mind. If your conscious mind is everything you're aware of at any given moment, your unconscious mind is everything else, like the sensation of your shirt on your body, or your feet on the floor, or your hair on your head. Now you're all going like, oh, I kind of can feel my hair on my head, right? This part of us, your unconscious mind, is picking up all this information, and it's where your emotions live. The problem is that none of us like to deal with our emotions, so we try to escape those too. And again, we either focus on the physical world. So a lot of people escape their emotions by working out, by eating, holla, by running. Don't get me started. If you are a runner and you like to run, I promise you, when it comes to emotional matters in your life, you like to run. And so it's escapism, which is fine, but any imbalance will create problems in your life. Now, your higher self, what is that? So, higher self is literally just the energy around you that you have to connect to in order to connect to the energy beyond. The way I like to think of it is, let's say if you imagine that you have a toaster and you want to plug that toaster in to make toast. If you plug it into the transformer station where the energy is born, basically, you're going to go and blow up your little toaster. So you have to plug your toaster into an outlet in the wall that has taken that big energy and brought it down into usable form. Usable form. Your higher self is the outlet that you connect to so that you can plug into a usable form of energy so that you don't blow up your little toaster. When it comes to having balance in our life, of manifesting, of creating, of growing, of healing, what we like to do is we use our conscious mind, our mental self, to set the intention. I am going to do X. Perfect. That information goes out into the universe via your higher self, and then information comes back to you. If you have ever participated in any kind of prayer or any kind of law of attraction, you send out your I would like this, you make a wish. If you've ever blown up birthday candles, you've done this. If you've ever wished on a star, you've done this. You use your mental self to send out these vibes. And the information does come back to you. The problem is it doesn't come back to your logical mind. This part of you is it's not getting enough of a picture to be able to process that much information. And so it has to go through through the outlet and then down into usable form. So that information comes back to you through your unconscious mind, through your emotional self. Unfortunately, this is where we like to hide all the parts of ourself and all the icky things we don't want to deal with. And so we start to feel very alone. We start to say, hey, I've prayed, I've put out these vibes, I've asked for things, I've made wishes on stars. It's just not happening. Why not? And then we start to think about it. The information's coming back, but the thing is, it's being filtered through all the garbage that you didn't want to deal with. And then it's being communicated through emotions that you don't know how to deal with. And so you try to explain them instead of listen to them. And so, in any kind of growth or healing or change work, We have to make sure we're paying attention to those two areas, to our thoughts, to our emotions, to our beliefs, and letting our intuition run the show, focusing on our unconscious mind, because that's where the answers come to. And then they're communicated up to your conscious awareness through emotions. So if you are doing any kind of energy work, change work, growth, healing in your life, and you are not tuning into and paying attention to your emotional self, you're going to end up severely off balance. And I know a lot of you have experienced that. Again, 2 by 4 to the face. I'm an alumni of that group. Your mental and emotional bodies are the bridge between the physical plane and the energetic realm. If you want to manifest and bring it down into your world, it must go in accordance with your mental and emotional self. Otherwise, there's a gap. And so it's kind of like if you've ever seen wires sparking and they spark across the gap, so it comes in spurts as opposed to a steady stream. You need a bridge. You want it to flow. And so I'm a huge advocate for working on your emotions. That's why I do things like anger work. That's why I do um, the work that I do, clearing out beliefs. That's why I do what I do, because I have done the healing journey on only the physical, and the physical has limits. There's comes a point when every doctor told me that I was just broken and I had to learn to live with it. I tried the higher up, higher self, spiritual stuff, and I couldn't figure out how to get it into my body so that it made sense to me, so that I could feel that Medicaid. That's the trick. You have to focus on your mental and emotional self. And that's why I run these circles, because otherwise you're going to blow up your life. So I want to back up a second and I want to explain to you the difference between frequency and resonance, because people get this wrong all the time. So frequency from a science perspective is the number of waves per cycle. So you'll see the little picture, the top one, the orange wave, that's a high frequency, and then the lower one is lower frequency. Every color that we see, the reason we are able to distinguish the different colors is because each color has a different frequency and our body picks it up in a different way. So frequency is the number of waves per cycle. Resonance is where you are in your journey. Wherever you currently are, that is the frequency that you are resonating at, because that's where you are. What happens is we say things like, when I feel confident, then I will do this. The problem is you cannot possibly resonate at the same frequency of change. So whatever frequency you're at is not going to resonate with growth and change, because that's a different frequency. And so when you say things like, well, that doesn't resonate with me, it doesn't feel good, I have to, when I, then I, what that basically means is that you're trying to base your decision on your healing journey on whether or not it feels comfortable. And I said this earlier. If you've been on this journey for a while, it is neither fun or comfortable sometimes when you grow. And so you only resonate at whatever frequency you're at. Therefore, you're never going to resonate at the frequency of growth and change. So that's why if you've ever studied waves, when they interact with each other and they make some changes. That's what you're feeling in your body when you're growing and it feels garbagey and icky. You are changing your resonance. And so those of you who are like, oh, it has to feel comfortable. If growth and change showed up in your life as comfortable, you'd reject it. And you stay stuck. And that's how we hit a wall. So you're not going to be asking, does this feel comfortable? Do I believe this? Does this resonate with me? You're only going to ask, is this working? Does doing this process, does tuning into my emotions, does it open possibility and create opportunity? If it does, keep going. If it doesn't, adjust. Anything static is toxic. I'm going to say that one again. Anything static is toxic. Being happy all the time is just as toxic as being angry all the time. So those of you who want to, I'm going to get in alignment and all my chakras are going to be balanced and I'm going to feel good and then I'm just going to stay there, nothing changed. The universe is like, adorable human. Trying to hold on to and stay in happiness all the time is toxic, and it's spiritual repression, and it will blow up your life because it means you're ignoring your emotions. A healthy human being feels all their emotions, even the ones that feel icky and that we're told are bad, because your emotions are your unconscious mind talking to you, and your unconscious mind is the one that's bringing information down from your higher self and from the universe. And so that's where we want to tune into. That's why it's so important to listen to your emotions as opposed to try to rationalize them. So many people are asking, why do I feel this way? Because you're human. That's the answer. Because you feel that way. Why you feel that way is a moot point. Even if you knew, you wouldn't know what the actual information was. How can I learn from this? What does this emotion come to teach me? That's all that's important. So, thought form energies. A thought form energy is the way I picture it is if you've ever seen comic books and they have those little thought bubble clouds, like it looks like a cloud attached by little circles to their head, and they walk around with this gloomy thought over their head all the time. That is a thought form energy. That is basically what they are. It's a living entity. If you ever studied Mazuro Emoto and Messages in Water, which I talk about in my Rewrite Your Story class, then you know that your thoughts actually create changes on the molecular level that we can see showing up in water. So your thoughts are a living reality. You create these little entities that actually exist. These are energetic patterns that actually exist within your aura that are created by your own thoughts over time. These are like computer programs. If you're always thinking, I'm worthless, then not only are you solidifying that belief in you, which becomes a filter, and again, we're going to get into that next healing circle, you're also creating this thought form icky energy that literally sticks to you. It's literally exists like a little cloud outside of you. It's invisible on the physical level, but on the mental plane and higher, it actually is a thing. You can create positive thought form energies. You can create negative ones. These thoughts are directly related to your unconscious beliefs, which, like I said, is part of perception. And we're going to get into, so RAS stands for Reticular Activating System. My voice cut out there. Stands for Reticular Activating System, which is a part of the brain structures that actually are part of the filter of how you experience the world. And I'm going to talk about that next week when we talk about the science of intention. So let's say you're like, damn it, I have these thought form energies around me. I just feel icky. I'm always thinking these things. I want to get rid of them. There are a couple ways to get rid of a thought form energy once it's formed. You can interrupt the thought so that over time you're not feeding it. That's why I like cancel, cancel, cancel. You heard me do it earlier. I do it all the time. If I say anything that I don't want to live, I cancel it so it doesn't become a thought form energy floating around me. You can integrate it back into the whole. So what you literally do is you imagine that you have, again, your imagination, your intention, and your intuition is all you need. So you imagine that you have a straw, and you're going to take that straw from your belly button, and you're going to allow it to reach out to that thought form energy, and then you're going to imagine sucking that energy back into yourself. Because here's the thing, these thought form energies are a part of you. So it's important to treat them with love and respect. Your goal is not to obliterate them or destroy them. You want to integrate them back into the wholeness inside. It's a thought that should have just been a random thought that didn't go farther than the mental realm. And because you thought it over and over again, you anchored into the other ones until it actually existed. So you just absorb it back into yourself. So anytime you're like, oh, I'm having these terrible thoughts and I don't know what to do with them, gently allow them to integrate back into the wholeness inside and then bubble and ground. You can also send them to the violet flame for transmutation. And that is something I'm going to get into in a couple healing circles, or you can Google it. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about, since we're talking about the mental plane and the emotional plane, is psychic self defense. If you've ever felt like someone is sending the oogity boogity vibes at you and is talking shit about you or is just sending negative vibes towards you, whether you think it's actually happening or whether it's actually happening doesn't matter, because your intention and imagination are what drive things, right? A thought plus an emotion equals a belief. If you think someone's doing this and you feel upset, it creates a belief and then it becomes a filter. So it doesn't matter if it's real or not. You use the same technique. You always want to think of natural causes first, psychic attack last. I'm part of different message groups for people who do energy work, and they're like, oh my God, my ex is sending these negative vibes at me. I need to do some sort of energy work to get rid of it. I'm like, yeah, you need to stand up for yourself and set a boundary with your ex and tell them to stop coming around. Like, make sure it's not something that you actually have power over. Which brings me to cause and effect. You can either be at effect of the energy that, oh, this is happening to me and I have no power, or you can put yourself at cause and say, I can just stand up for myself. So make sure that you're not falling victim to energy. Energy is meant to empower you. If you are playing victim to it, reverse it. Okay. And then make sure that you are bubbling and grounding, which I talked about last week, and I will send out the videos for. That's a proactive way to make sure that crap doesn't get inside your bubble. So let's say you did. Let's say, despite your best intentions, you actually did or feel like someone is sending bad vibes towards you. The way to overcome a psychic attack is you're going to stand in the center of wherever you are. You're not going to do this right now. Okay? And you're going to turn in a circle until you sense the direction, real or imagined, that the negative energy is coming from. This is where your meta K comes in handy. Because if you're trying to feel it through thought and be like, I don't feel anything, you have to remember, look at it from the peripheral and access your meta K. So until you're going to spin around and you might feel something like, yeah, I guess that's it. You might see something like it just seems darker there. You might hear a voice saying, keep going, keep going. Once you've determined the direction the energy is coming from, you are going to boldly face that direction. The path of the energy light worker and shadow worker is not for the faint hearted. We face boldly in the direction that energy is coming from. We do not run from the energy. You are not the victim, you are the one in power. You're going to then visualize a glowing blue 5-pointed star on your forehead. This is your third eye chakra, which we're going to eventually talk about. And the 5-pointed star has all sorts of symbolism that I'll be getting into in later circles. And you're going to then encircle it with your palms in a triangle. When we get to sacred geometry, this will make sense. You'll think, oh my goodness, I look ridiculous. That's okay. Looking ridiculous and believing in it is not one of 3 eyes. Intention. Use your imagination. Follow your intuition. So you're going to imagine that star on your forehead, and you're going to encircle it, and then you're going to thrust the energy away. You are not sending it back to the person who you think gave it to you, because 1, that's icky karma. 2, law of threes, it'll bounce back at you. And 3, 99% of the time, we're the ones sending bad vibes to ourselves with our shitty thoughts. So you don't want to bounce it back at yourself and get stuck in a loop. You're just going to thrust it out, just away from you. Where it goes is its own business. And then you're going to ground and bubble so that nothing can get back in, because that's a proactive step. Okay? So overview, things to remember. True healing has to take place on all 4 realms. If you are trying to better your life, if you're trying to grow and change, and you're only working on 1 or 2 of the realms, you're missing a huge part of the journey. Your emotions, your mental health is important. Your mental and emotional self is the bridge. So you literally can't get the information you're looking for from the universe, from prayer, from intention, until you bridge it. Thought forms are a part of you. Please treat them with respect and love, never any hostility. Always look for other causes of your pain, like poor boundaries. Please don't automatically be like, I need to do a spell because the person at work is being mean to me. Nah, go up to the person and say, hey, we need to talk. You have to do your work on the mental, emotional realms, but you also have to, on the physical realm, speak up for yourself. So don't automatically assume psychic attack. And remember, of course, that most attacks come from our own beliefs. And a belief is just a thought plus an emotion. When you change your thoughts, when you change the emotion, or if you've worked with me, you know that we just yank the belief right out. And if you have questions about that, that's a whole other thing. So just message me or email me, and I'm happy to go over that with you. So you want to always make sure you're sending the energy away, but not necessarily back to the original person. As always, decide you want it more than you're afraid of it. It's okay for this to seem a little bit weird and different and maybe even scary. Decide you want it more than you're afraid of it, and they'll be fine. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at email, online. I'm also on social media. Awesome.
Do you want to learn more about how you can continue your journey and experience my virtual healing circles in real time? If so, check out livelifeunbroken.com/circle and join my free circle membership. Receive weekly reminders, bonus material and recaps, plus special offers, as well as access to my weekly virtual healing circles. If you're ready to leave behind the fears and limitations of the ego and step into the spiritual life you've long known is waiting for you, you're invited to join me, Jen Fable, for a soul-nourishing journey into the exploration of you, the universe, and all space in between. Take control of your spiritual journey to attain a new level of understanding and connection to yourself and the people in your life. During our time in circle together, I will share with you all the tips and tricks you need to make playing with energy fun, easy, and most of all, effective. Together, we'll learn how to cultivate our inner compass to enable us to walk our path with grace and ease. We'll open the space with a candle meditation, and after I will share with you my favorite grounding practices and lead you through a circle casting, guided meditation, and breath work, followed by a soul-inspiring gratitude practice. If your soul has been calling out to you and you're ready to tune in and listen, go to www.livelifeunbroken.com/circle and register today for your Zoom access information. That's www.livelifeunbroken.com/circle, CIRCLE. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.